Parks and Recreation Committee to order at 7:02. As far as citizens communication, commission welcomes a comment on Parks and Rec items. Public comment that is not made, or that is made on an item not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No form, action, discussion, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Is there anyone who would like to speak during citizens communication? Looks like a no. All right, we will now close citizens communication. Next item is 3A, discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from Parks and Rec Commission meeting on March 19th. As minutes were sent to everyone, did everyone get a chance to review? Any corrections?
Just need a motion.
All right, motion to approve?
I approve.
Got a second?
Second.
All right, motion carries.
Oh, we gotta vote.
Oh,
Gotta vote.
oh, aye. Oh, yeah. Almost. What is it?
All in favor?
All in favor, thank you.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah, there we go.
Almost.
Do we want to, we have a discuss item, but we do have a discuss and consider. Do we want to get to the artists part first?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Oh, can I have this?
No?
Whoa!
Cat-like reflexes there.
Pretty good.
We can edit that out in post,
Well,
right?
good evening. We are excited about bringing you another public art item for your discussion and consideration tonight. The proposed downtown East Plaza mural is titled The Green Symphony. It's by Candy Quo, and she's here tonight to discuss her vision. But first, I'd love to kind of just show you the site location and where it's proposed. It's generally located where that red line is, off of the western facade of the new recreation center. The blue area right here is where we last month kind of talked about the little goat trail that we were making with some public art. The dimensions of this particular mural, it's 26 feet in height and 47 feet in length. And with this particular installation, we do intend to apply a UV coating to it to protect it long term. The anticipated timeline for installation is somewhere between October and November. We are coordinating with the contractor with timeline, so it might move a little bit, but we just want to make sure that the timeline works well with the construction timeline. And the budget for this mural is $40,000. It is funded by the hotel occupancy tax revenue to support the tourism initiative of the public art program. The concept, the Green Symphony. So we believe this is the perfect mural for this particular setting based off of the visual elements, tying back to the location and the anticipated activities that we expect within the plaza space, and also the butterflies, of course, in reference to the Monarch Recreation Center. Here is a rendering to kind of give you a sense of scale and location.
Just real quick. Yeah, so to the left of the mural would be the pool. You can see the outdoor, you can see the outline of the outdoor, the water slide that goes outside the building like you see in some popular designs. That's to the left. To the right would be the turf area. You can see 2 garage doors behind those trees that will open up, and that turf area comes indoor, outdoor, and keep moving forward. On the right side would be the entrance to the rec center, and then ultimately you keep moving. You would the parking garage would come into play from this point of view, and the city hall complex would come into play from this orientation as well.
Yes. So without further ado, I'd love to hand this over to Candy to have her share her vision for the mural and answer any questions you may have as well. For sure.
So my name is Candy. I have lived in Texas for almost all my life, and this mural, like a lot of my murals, are a celebration of our state and a lot of the things that are beautiful about it that makes me continue to call it home after all of these years. One of them being Texas's nature. Spring in Texas is one of the most gorgeous times in the state. The rivers are one of the reasons why we stay in Central Texas, and I wanted to depict not only that, but also the vast diversity in this state, not only in nature, but in the people that call this state home. And that includes the culture, and I know music is a huge component of the city of Pflugerville, so we're wanting to kind of marry all of these ideas into one visual component that can feel local but universal at the same time. As a musician myself, one of my favorite quotes by Aldous Huxley is, "After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music." And I've always loved that, and being able to kind of integrate music and with the art and to try and portray that with paint, I think is going to be very, very exciting, and I'm really, really excited about this project. But yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the artist?
You can go back and show Nick maybe where the mural would be.
Can you say more about the name?
So Green Symphony, it kind of alludes to just the orchestrated symbiotic relationships between man and nature, and it is kind of the dance between like all the diverse. Those are all portrayed will be local species of butterflies, and as an immigrant myself, the monarch is a motif that I often include in my work. I love that it travels thousands of miles and it somehow always knows how to find its way home, and Texas is one of those homes for it. And so it's the symphony of just all the elements that make Texas great. Yeah.
Thanks.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve it?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Don't knock my drink over. Yep.
Is this the biggest mural that we've pretty much seen in Pflugerville?
How does that compare to the one off the coffee shop? It's bigger than that one.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd probably be the
Definitely,
biggest
but-
mural we'd have. Yeah.
At least in terms of height.
Yeah, now
Say,
you've got
it's
some
pretty
bridges
wide.
that you do under.
Yeah.
The one we just did over there at Windermere with the art in the, what y'all call it, Art Day? That's a pretty
And that's
big
50 feet
square
in length.
footage, yeah.
Well, it's long, but not very
That's
tall.
long.
Long, yeah.
Now this,
It's about the
That's
same
big.
in length.
Oh,
But
the one
tall.
under Fennec too, that will, on that angle, what was it?
Oh, yeah.
The other musical based one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We need to announce this one too.
No, yeah. We're 4A, director's report. I, as the director, will then report. No, Jonathan was sick, so we spared John. We heard him coughing all day, but we sent him home. So you can see the list of, and he gave me notes, but I don't have them. But we can all read, right? And so you can see the upcoming events that Jonathan's team's working on. He does a great job with the senior programs and the youth events, the family events like the Star Party, and then there's a lot of the outdoor stuff, whether it's the Trail Friends or the Unplugged and Explorers and yoga in the park, etc. So, music in the park. April happened. It was a little wet. We normally have about 250, 300, and we had about 50. I think 75. Junior, would you say something around that number? But what was cool is those were the ones that really needed it. Like they were having fun. They were dancing. The kids were playing. We had a bunch of, because we had more than we were expecting supplies wise. We had a bunch of glow in the dark necklaces, and those kids, you couldn't lose a kid that night. Every kid had about 15 glow in the dark necklaces on, and they were spinning around having fun. May is Jolie and the Jackalopes. The food truck is Tacos El Speedy, and we will have face painters there. So should be a fun show. Next couple are cleanup events. So we did the Keep Pflugerville Beautiful event at the lake, March 21st. That was after the mayor had his birthday cleanup, I think like March 13th or 14th as well. So we hit the lake a couple times, but 62 volunteers, 87 bags of trash. Parks Foundation was there as well. And then the LCRA cleanup, a group from LCRA came out at Pfluger Park, and they did a the restored the riparian areas and removed invasive plants, and had about 82 hours of service volunteers with that group. And then the Earth Day cleanup happened at Wilbar Creek. We had about 25 volunteers given almost about 3 hours each, 49 bags of trash, and they were all over the park, the creek, and the trails over at Wilbar Creek. So lots of cleanups as we're getting into spring and summer, getting us ready for peak season usage in our park system. This meeting is going to be short, so we wanted to make sure we remind you that, because we're going to have 2 meetings next month. That sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? So we're going to have our regular scheduled meeting, third Thursday in May. But this lady here, Jamie Sabak, is a consultant in our industry, and her team run departments through financial sustainability models and studies. And one of the things she does is she engages with elected and appointed boards, and we want to make sure that this group has the opportunity to talk about how we're steering this in the direction it goes. And Jamie and her team are great. Jamie is a former Park and Rec professional who went to the consulting side, and this is what she does. And she does it all over the place. And I know Georgetown's had her in the past at some of their stuff as well. But with the Monarch opening up and some of our ball fields continuing to expand and some of the other stuff we're working on, we felt now was the time. And so Jamie will be here the Thursday before our regularly scheduled meeting, meeting with staff, meeting with city management, and we wanted to make sure that she stayed long enough to meet with this group as well. So
One clarifying point, the Wednesday before.
is that what that date is?
It's the 13th. There'll be Wednesday, May 13th.
Yeah, don't mind it. We'll shoot you a calendar invite.
Yes.
You know
You were
what?
most of this information is
Was
correct,
right.
though.
I mean, like 99% of what I said
Not
was accurate.
110% of it, though.
No.
It's on record now.
I kid. Yeah, that's why she doesn't have me on her consulting team. I'm not 110%. But she'll be good. It'll be good. I'll be glad to have you. So, and we'll post the meeting just in case there's a quorum and anyone else wants to come as well. It'll be in this room. Is that right? Thank you very
Same
much.
time? Sorry, did you say 7?
This will be 6, because she wants 2 solid hours, so we'll get 6 to 8 instead of forcing you here till 9.
But I think I think you'll enjoy the conversations and the time spent with Jamie.
So just to clarify, will she be presenting something? Is there stuff that we need to be reviewing beforehand?
I think post that meeting, you'll have some time to review before we go to the next
Yeah.
meeting is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're meeting with staff, all staff, on Thursday.
I was right, by the way. I knew it was
They're
Thursday.
here for 2 days. They're based in Colorado.
Yeah.
Meeting with city management and some other folks, and then that evening. So it's basically hearing from y'all and getting some feedback. Won't be the last time you hear from her.
Okay. Sounds good, thanks.
Eggpalooza, as you can see, escalated quickly. We were heading towards a Saturday event. We thought there was going to be this break in this cell that would allow us to get Saturday off safely. We were in conversations with emergency management and his team of meteorologists all week, and it felt like things had shifted to Friday, really late in the week, really. And so we pivoted to be safe, shift to a Friday event, and that's Good Friday. So the kids are out of school, but we thought, man, we might have gotten this shift too late. We didn't know if we would have gotten to all the people that we should have. I think we had 2,500 at last year's event, somewhere in that range. And last year we had 23,000 eggs. Was that right?
Mhm.
And so this year we had 40,000 eggs. And we're like, man, we're gonna have a crap ton of eggs, and you're gonna have 30 people out here at this Good Friday event. That was not the case. We ended up moving it, and we had close to 2,000 people, and we held back 10,000 eggs because we were still going to try to do a drive-through on Saturday. And so we did our Friday event. We did a little later, tried to make sure the people that maybe weren't off or they were at daycare, we could still accommodate. So it was a 5 to 7. At 4 o'clock, we had our adaptive hour, and then 5 to 7, we did the event. And rain held off. We were able to find that sweet spot, and we had close to the same numbers last year, which we were pretty happy with the pivot, and 30,000 eggs. And then Saturday, we met at the park at 8 a.m. And got on our calls with Kaipo, our emergency operations manager, and started looking at weather. And the drive-through was 10 a.m., Junior? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 10 to noon. And there was a cell coming in, and everyone in their car would be safe. But anyone in a pop-up tent or outside their car, which would have been staff, would have had to shelter in place the first time lightning happened. Would have had to go to some sort of shelter. And then the drive-through would not have been a drive-through. It would have been a parking lot. Everyone would just have to sit there. And we would have had to sit there until we cleared the lightning by 30 minutes. And so we made a pivot Saturday, and we took the 10,000 eggs to the rec center, put it in this room. At one point, we had 10,000 eggs. We should have took a photo of that because we had it. And then we just announced throughout the day that we were allowing families to take 50 eggs, to bring your own bag, come grab 50 eggs, and take them to your house. And then you have the opportunity to do it either Saturday night or Sunday, do your own Easter egg hunt, weather permitting, whenever you'd like. We had 100 plus families, but we didn't have 200 plus families, so I don't think everyone took 50 eggs. I think some people took more, but I think we had families had a fun egg hunt, and I stayed. We all stayed at the start, and then as it rained, Junior was worried about his hair, so he left. And it was just me in the parking lot. It was just me in the parking lot getting soaked, telling everyone else to go to the rec. But ultimately, we were able to give out all 40,000 eggs, and I think when you consider the families that showed up and the people that showed up, I think it's very close to probably the 2,500 or so we would have had at one event. And so I think what we'll probably do next year is maybe target Good Friday, and then that gives us a day to jump back if the weather's bad moving forward, because Good Friday seemed to work really well, and we'll probably try to keep it as late as possible on Good Friday. So for those folks that have to work, or for those kids that are in some sort of daycare capacity, they could still get out there. It didn't seem like we had a lot of people by 7 o'clock freaking out that they had missed anything. And the ones that got there late, as we had explained previously, we hold eggs back. And so we had it. No one left sad. Some people did leave with some wet chocolate, but no one left sad.
So is it mostly like just candy and stuff in the egg?
Yeah, so most of it's candy. Some of it has a little toy in as well. And then our adaptive hour, we had beeping eggs, and we had larger eggs, and we had egg pickers. And so maybe you couldn't reach the ground. We had eggs on a table. If you were, for example, blind, we had the beeping eggs. We had eggs that if you couldn't articulate your fingers in such a way, you could grab it in a bigger way. And so we had a bunch of different options, and heard from a couple different parents that they were very appreciative that we were offering that. And so it's great to see that portion of the event as well, because sometimes it's what we started doing it for was for the kids, the participants. But what we found is not to the same scale, but there are parents that are the person that need the accommodation, and their kids don't. But because you're out in a field and there's some issues, it still does affect them. And so we saw kids, but we also saw parents or caregivers there that were at the adaptive, because they're the ones that need the accommodation so they can enjoy the moment of their kids getting eggs. And so it turned out to be a really good event.
Is there a lot of prep work that the staff has to do to pack the eggs and do stuff like that, or is it mostly just the day of the event?
So we buy them. We luckily, when I first got here, we had seniors packing eggs. We had weeks leading up that we were buying eggs, and we had the seniors here and the kids here and youth and everybody else that, if you were at basketball, guess what? You got to pack some eggs. But we've gone to purchasing the eggs that are prepackaged. And we did that for a couple years, but And then as we were distributing them, someone would break apart, you know, and then the egg or the toy or the candy fall out. And so now we buy, we're getting smarter every year. Now we buy the eggs that are prepackaged and they don't break when you toss them. So we're getting better at this.
That staff found at our National Parks and Rec Conference.
Yep.
We found that vendor, so it's a pretty funny thing to be a vendor for a Parks and Rec Conference, just selling eggs that don't break, but there's a lot of us that need it, so
Genius.
it
And,
worked.
and what was great is because we were trying to figure out, we didn't initially throw out as many eggs as we thought we'd need to because we didn't know how many people were going to show up. I didn't want to put, if we siphoned off 30,000 eggs, we didn't want to put 8,000 eggs at the first event and 12 kids show up because those kids are going to take a lot of eggs with them. And but what we found was as we could see the crowds growing, juniors guys would just hop in a gator with another box of eggs, and as one guy was driving it, they were just kicking them out. And so that was great that they didn't break because we were shooting those things out of there. And even as we were lining up, there were a couple different times that the line just kept coming and coming and coming, and I was able to reach out to juniors crew and just like add another 1,000 eggs, and we were able to do it like that. So we were very fortunate that juniors crew was out there, that they're prepackaged and that they don't break when we toss them because they were getting tossed. If you've been to Pfluger Park, you'll see some tree protection and some construction going on. So there's this really cool opportunity that we were presented with from Rotary. They have a grant and they've worked with PCDC, and they're essentially that Pfluger Grove is that spot that when you go out there, it's next to the it's not really a pavilion, it's a gazebo. Yep, it's next to the gazebo, but it's picnic tables, and they had offered to put a little, I wouldn't call it a full shade pavilion, but it's definitely shade or an awning, a hardtop awning over that space. And so anyone that's sitting out there in the summer or whatever is under shade. And they had a grant for it. They applied for it, got it. PCDC is helping them with it. We're helping as well. And so the tree protection is making sure that no matter what is happening in the construction site, that the roots and the trees themselves aren't being damaged. And then we've got concrete that's been poured out there right now. They're going to be removing some of the pavers and adding concrete back in some of those spaces. And so we're excited to see what it's ultimately going to look like, because we think it's going to be an even better spot to sit and dwell and hang out with family and reunions and the events that we see out at Pfluger Park.
Are they going to be able to fit the beer tent there still for?
Oh yeah. Well, if Rotary can't, it's their project, so that's their fault. They should not be playing. I think that's one of the things behind that is.
It's like to save them from having to get a beer tent in the first place.
Yeah, I think it doesn't hurt them for sure. Yeah, I think it'll benefit Rotary 1 week in a year, and it'll benefit the rest of us, the other 51 weekends. Slice of Pflugerville, Sister Sledge, and Sledgendary is the group that's performing. Bayou Rue and Andrea Daniela are the other two performers that day. The bite passport's $25. We have samples that come with that for over 30 different food and drink vendors. We also have, it's downtown Pflugerville, 11 to 6. It's free. We'll have some cultural art and community performances. A lot of those groups, it's very cultural. I would screw it up so you can just read it and just imagine whatever you imagine it. Imagine me saying it incorrectly. But about half of them, I think a little bit more than half have been there in the past, but we have some new ones as well. So we're excited that event's growing, and more communities are interested in exposing the really cool, unique things about their culture to Pflugerville's population, which is what this whole thing is about, is celebrating the diversity of Pflugerville and really getting to highlight and celebrate how uniquely different each culture is.
Shane, for that, you're saying communities are getting more and more involved. How do they know about it? How do they express interest?
So we have some groups that we reach out to that we know either through our master planning process or some of our citizen engagement process. One of the cool things is there is a mayor's youth commission, mayor advisory council or something. There's a group of students from the local high schools and charter schools that serve on this student committee that help the mayor and council with some things. And they've had different projects in the past. This year, their project specifically was to help us find more cultural performers and art vendors as well. So they were to help us beef up this section. And so the ISD being an ISD that I think at times there's close to 30 or more different languages that are spoken, and the 78660 zip code itself being the most diverse zip code from the last census anyways, from anything in the Austin metro area, who better than those youth to reach out to? And so I think we got 3 or 4 new ones, some of those from staff, some of those from the initial conversations that came from those youth groups, and then staff were able to facilitate from there.
Gotcha. Is there an opportunity, like moving forward, to even like widen that
Oh,
scope
yeah.
in terms of
Absolutely.
how to get more people in? Because to your point, like I think this is a lovely opportunity, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of diversity. So it'd be really cool to think how we can ensure that more and more people.
And I don't know if you've been able to attend, but what's cool about these performances, first of all, they're visually stunning, right? So you have, whether you see this Valley Folklorico group here or the Austin Powwow group, we've had the Asian lion dragon.
Lion,
Yep. And it's fascinating. There's so much culture and color to it, but there's also a lot of unique opportunities where some of them will grab people from the audience or like come
Sure.
dance with us or whatever. And so you really start to see, and this isn't it. Obviously, there's more, and there's drum lines and there's other things. We've had poetry slams and spoken word in the past as well. And so it's just this really cool spot where we're just trying to celebrate and highlight. And if we're missing a group of people in next year's iteration, definitely let us know. There's definitely a community to reach out to. We would love to be reaching out to them. We got plenty of downtown. And next year at this time, we'll have more downtown. We'll have downtown east. So, yeah, plenty of opportunities to perform. And now it's Jeff.
Sorry.
I like my time.
Sorry, yeah, sorry to end that.
I
Sorry
like
to-
sharing with Jeff.
So this is our monthly CIP project. I can leave.
Please. Fake a cough like
I need
that.
some, you're gonna do it for me?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna switch
Oh,
slides
yeah,
for me?
look at me.
There you go. All right, so just wanted to give y'all an update as we do monthly. I think we've skipped the last 2 months because we've been doing the CIP with you, so we don't want to give you too many projects. But we're about to kick off a couple other things, so I wanted to let you know what was going on. We just had approved at council on Tuesday night our contract with a consulting team, design team, to conduct our Gillen Creek Trail Corridor study. I believe we've talked about this. This is a master plan along the Gillen Creek Trail Corridor all the way from Grand Avenue to Bowles Park. So we have, an incredibly unique amenity here in Pflugerville, which is about 6.5 miles of uninterrupted trail along Gillen Creek. You don't see that very often in a community where you're not having to cross streets and all that stuff to stay on a trail for 6 miles. And along that trail, you've got, I think it's 8 parks. You got Windermere Park, Finnick Park, Pfluger Park, and then this includes downtown because this goes right in between historic downtown and downtown east, and then all the way to Bowles Park, which will be Destination Play.
Parts of Pecan too.
Yeah, and so those are just the bigger ones, but you've got several smaller parks as well. And so this project will include public engagement. They'll do an existing conditions analysis. There's some environmental work just to make sure the concepts that they come up with work within a floodplain and that close to the creek. Trail amenities, and then placemaking opportunities. So they're obviously going to look at some of these older parks, like Pfluger Park, Windermere, some parks that really need some updating, some TLC, and give us some conceptual designs for what we could do with those spaces. But they're also going to tell us where we can create additional placemaking. So like I mentioned, this is going to go right, that trail corridor goes right in between down the downtowns, right where Main Street's going to be extended. And so there's opportunities probably for some placemaking there. Maybe not a full-on park, but some amenities that as you're walking this trail, you've got somewhere to stop, somewhere for kids to play, And so we're treating this the same way we treated our master plan in 2022 and 2023. We're going to do a ton of engagement. We all really enjoy that. We do that really well. We find consultants that also want to do that really well and engage with communities in ways. They'll do the town halls in rooms like this, but we find a lot more engagement from the community at Rock the Block. You always get a lot more honest feedback when someone's got a beer in their hand. Deutschenfest, things like that. And so we'll make sure the community has a wide array of opportunities to give their input on this, because I was trying to look up the percentage of Pflugerville residents that live within a half mile of this. It was tough. I think we're going to continue to try to do that through this process, but it's a huge swath of the population of Pflugerville live very close to this trail corridor. So it means a lot to a lot of people, and we want to hear from everybody. So
What's interesting about it too is when I first got here, we were able to use the placer data to see just overall park system usage was close to 1 million annual visits in our whole park system. 7 years on from that, we're over 2 million annual visits now. And this corridor in and of itself, this corridor and the parks that touch it are almost.
It was 500,000 in 2025.
Yeah, so almost what the whole park system got, this corridor gets close to, so it's obviously well loved, well used, and I think anyone that's in any of these parks sees users using it, whether it's the trail or there's obviously some more active spaces. Phoenix got some fields, and Pfluger Park has Deutschenfest, another thing, and there's pools along this as well. But there's also some really, I think Swenson Farms is one of the prettiest spots in our whole park system.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a park at all. It's just a little bit of open space with a creek that bubbles at that spot or whatever. And
Yeah, when we list the parks, you may not even recognize some of them because there's no amenity, there's no real reason to go there unless you want a beautiful view of the creek, which a lot of folks do. But we don't want to take away from that either. So there's going to be balancing keeping these areas natural. But Pfluger Park, you can see the thing over there in the corner, just got designated as a Lone Star Legacy Park by the Texas Recreation and Park Society, which is really special. I don't know what the number is. I think there's 100 parks across the entire state that have received that designation. But Pfluger Park is aging. That playground there is getting probably pretty close to needing replacement by our standards, or by national standards. And so instead of just kind of spot treating these parks and replacing things as needed, there's a opportunity to look at this as a whole and in a bigger way.
Yeah, and I think staff has also tried really hard with making your park system feel like it's unique. You don't walk into our parks and it looks like a Georgetown Park or a Round Rock Park or a Cedar Park. You can feel the distinct difference in these Pflugerville parks in some ways, and there aren't many cities across the state that would have a trail corridor like this with a creek system like this as historically significant to its community that this one has. If you listen to our previous mayor, he'll tell you he was bathed in this creek, for years, and played around, splashed in it, and got chased in it and everything else. And so it's one of it's in a lot of ways it's permeated through the community as the community has grown, and we have this really cool opportunity to say, okay, what can we do with it to take advantage of it and to really maximize its uniqueness compared to other cities and the opportunities they have.
Yeah, and most of y'all know, having you work in government or you've been on other committees or commissions within the city, we don't work quickly, and sometimes there's reasons for that. This is a good one. So this is going to guide our future CIP as well. So again, we could go into these parks and do what we think is best, and we have a pretty good beat on the community. I think the community would be pretty happy with that. But the way that you get the community more engaged and excited about future projects is doing things like this, where you're actually getting their feedback, you're incorporating that into designs, and then as we look at future 5-year CIPs, which I'll just approved last month, it will include these projects that come from this trail corridor study. So it's going to be really important I think it's about an 8 to 10 month process from start to finish,
And y'all will be engaged in that.
and y'all will absolutely be a big part of that. And also, not only engaging yourselves, but we'll task y'all with getting the community involved and making sure that they know about it and being an advocate for the project. So, Kelly Lane Park's one of our 2020 bond projects that's in active construction. This was the most artsy photo our park project manager could get, but it's coming along pretty well. It's scheduled to be substantially complete in May and then fully complete in the first week of June. I still do not know what those two things mean because to me complete is complete, but there's some contractor and project manager language there. So it's going to be done in May. Includes
And then
playground.
redone in June.
And it'll be done again.
Yeah. It'll be fully done.
Done.
But there'll still be things that need to be fixed that'll
That's
be
right.
done later.
That's right.
And that'll
that's
have a year.
always that's always true.
And we'll have a year.
We'll
Right.
call it fully cooked in June. And so this is our first outdoor pickleball courts in the system, playground, pollinator garden, and some pretty incredible trails that go through the woods there. 1849 Park Phase 2. I couldn't remember if y'all had seen these photos already or not, but construction's officially complete.
Just torturing Tracy with it,
We
right?
really are. Sorry, Tracy.
But are you?
No.
We are. We would love to get on
Yeah,
these
we'd love
fields,
that.
too.
It just feels so fitting.
I know.
It
You know,
really does.
with everything we've gone through, it just really
Yeah.
feels so fitting.
The timing wasn't great. We won't complain because everyone's going through it together. But obviously, water restrictions. This is on Manville water, so the water restrictions don't technically apply to 1849. However, with that being said, we've got a lot of city projects that are ongoing that utilize water, and so we're sharing water both with the treatment plant and with contractors who will come and fill up water trucks so that they're not using Pflugerville water for projects since they can't. And so we're currently irrigating these fields 2 days a week, and as green as they look and as incredible as they look, they are not ready for play. They have to get established before we can get kids on them because they'll just deteriorate really quickly. So the opening has been delayed. It is to be decided, the date to be decided, but it is incredible. The details on this space are really fun. You can go to the next photo, just as an overall view. We're really excited to get out there. I think I've explained this to y'all before, but once you get out there and see it, Tracy, have you gone out there to see it? Yeah. Okay, we'll schedule that.
Yeah, whenever your vacation is this summer.
Yeah. It's tiered. You can't really see it in this photo, but the field on the top is a little bit higher than the field on the left, which is a little bit higher than the field on the bottom. So the viewing experience is really awesome. It's there's no rollaway. What do you call bleachers? It's all built into the facility. A lot of really cool details. The bollards to keep traffic out of driving up the sidewalk are baseballs and softballs. So it's a really incredible facility. And you got the event lawn up there on the right.
Got the little.
Yeah, they're 225-foot fences, I believe, which is a little bit short for like your 12Us, especially your 14Us. And so what we had the design team and the contractor do is raise that outfield fence so that at least if you hit a home run in center field, it's about 250, 240, something like that.
I feel like you really
It's our
got
version of the Green Monster, so we'll try to come up with some vinyl or something we put out there.
Gotta get some goats.
Yep. So yeah, excited about that. And then lastly, our annual trail improvements. So we completed our mobility master plan last year, which is our transportation plan, also includes our trail master plan. So this is our way of addressing trail connectivity. It creates new trails. It also fills trail gaps that have been created by development when they've built trails for us. Sometimes they go to their property line and two trails don't meet, so we use our annual trail improvements to make those connections where future development is not going to connect. We have 7 projects in FY26. I've explained this before. I can't remember if it was the last year's Park and Rec Commission or you guys, but in the past we've tackled some of our simpler, I guess for lack of a better term, projects with our trail improvements. There was some low-hanging fruit. And we've now gotten into some of our more complex projects that require surveying and environmental work and potentially bridges. And so it's fewer projects because they're more robust. And so the engineering team has completed surveys on all 7 of those projects. The environmental reviews are completed, and we're going to start looking for contractors here in the next couple months. And so if you go to the next page, I want to remind y'all, or tell you if you didn't know this, that we have a CIP dashboard online. That QR code will take you to it. And so on projects like the trail improvements, you can go to the website and see all 7 of the projects that team is working on. It's got maps, it'll tell you where they are, it tells you where we are in the process, and it's not just the trail improvements. All of the projects that we have, that we've talked about, are on that dashboard. And so if you get asked because your friends or family know that you're on the Parks and Rec Commission, where we are on a certain project, you can just guide them straight to that CIP dashboard, and it's updated probably weekly by our teams.
As far as getting contractors, I assume we have some kind of like approved vendor list, people we've worked with before. Is there, what does that process look like?
So typically, like I mentioned, the trail projects, that's what we've done in the past for simpler projects. For this, we're actually going to bid this out as one project and get one contractor that will work on all these projects, because one of them is a Wilbarger Creek Park connection from the east side of, I guess that's still Highland Park.
Yeah.
Kingston
Lacey over into where the dog park is, because there's not a great connection there. You're either going all the way up to Wilbarger North or coming all the way down to Cascades.
No.
Yeah, it's Cascades.
Is that
Cascades? Yeah. And so, like I said, that project's pretty complex. It's going to include a pedestrian bridge and things like that. So we're going to RFP that for a contractor and find somebody that's going to do all of those projects. So it's a little bit more, strenuous going through that process than what we've done in the past. But a lot of these projects, you'll see this one's going to be kind of funny to you if you go on the CIP dashboard. That project that's on the left there, the Weiss Lane Collector, it looks like it should be a 3-foot. If you look at the aerial view, it looks like it should be a 3-foot connection. But it's actually going to have to go up a little bit. There's 2 things. There's grading there, so it actually goes up to where it wouldn't be ADA accessible. And then there's also like 3 different utilities that run right there. So that was a project we kind of put off until we got an engineer on board, so that we make sure we're not doing any damage to that area. And so that project, again, is going to require more than just a concrete team going out there and putting the molds down and laying concrete. It's a lot of these are a little bit more difficult.
Do we have any of that capability ourselves? Like, do we have any excavation equipment or concrete crews or anything?
No, for all of that, I think we've done some spot repairs and stuff like that, but we have that on contract even too. I don't know, do you have a better answer for that, Junior? We do that out.
Yeah, we typically just
contract that.
We don't have the staff for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I would love to, but.
You may have 1 or 2 guys that have concrete experience, but yeah, it's a different.
I would say
it's a
that
different team.
knowing Junior, they'd be capable, but they've got a lot of things they're working on.
Sure.
Don't say no.
Any questions about projects?
It was too much of them, wasn't it? It was. Like just hearing his voice. Grates a little. All right, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So genuine.
That's
He's
all
the
we got.
worst, really.
That's all we got.
I want that to be on record. Shane is the worst.
That's all we got. And we don't need a motion for this.
We need a motion for that.
That's up to you.
Any discussion on that?
I object.
Abstain. Awesome. Yeah, you can just adjourn it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, do we do a motion for that or just?
No.
All right, if there's no other business. Meeting is adjourned at 7:46.
Look at that.
Hey.